Welcome back. All right, news of the day video for all you fine people for your Thursday, December the 7th. First week of December up already. All right, so Boston news. It looks like Forbert's going to be out of the lineup for a while. So he's had a nagging lower body injury. Jim Montgomery saying that the recent schedule being as tough as it's been, a lot of games, he said 9 games in 16 days, that it's caused that injury to flare up again. So they're going to take him out of the lineup until he can get better. They want to give him a chance to reset and get better. Apparently this has been going on for most of the season, so it's just a matter of, trying to keep him out of the lineup until he feels better and get him back in there. So for Boston, it'll test their depth on the blue line a bit. I do like Boston's depth both up front and on the blue line. We'll see how it goes. Cale Makar returns tonight versus the Jets. Good news for the Avs, bad news for Jets fans and the Jets players. Makar, the way he plays the game, you're going to see him miss a game or two every year, would be my guess. I don't think he'll be a guy who's getting 82 games a year. He plays a lot of minutes. He plays tough minutes, and he's willing to fight his way through the physical game, too. So it's part and parcel how he plays. John Klingberg won't be back for the Toronto Maple Leafs this year. He's having season-ending hip surgery. And the other part of this, too, is anytime it's hip surgery, it could potentially be a big deal to the rest of their career. He had double hip surgery in 2014 as well, which affected his mobility. So Klingberg was trying to fight his way through it. Just it was not working. So the team and the player, consulted, and the best choice is to have hip surgery in order to try to fix this problem. Now, it does free them up with cap money because it's a $4.15 million cap hit for Klingberg. It does allow that to go onto LTIR, and then they can add somebody else. So a team that's already been in the hunt for a defenseman, now they got some cap space in order to make that work. We'll see what they do, right? Vancouver, of course, freed themselves up cap space and immediately added Zadorov. They clearly had one guy in mind. Tanev's name's been thrown out there a lot. But, for Toronto, it's going to be curious because you've also got Tyson Barrie down here that he doesn't have a place to play right now. So, right? I mean, as crazy as that sounds, but hey, just to kind of transition from one to the other. But let me know your thoughts. The other name that came to mind, just, looking at Toronto and the issues they've had, Brett Pesce, who is a UFA at the end of this year. Carolina's having their struggles. Brindamore was very animated last night, being interviewed behind the bench on how he felt about how the team was playing. So maybe it means Pesce's available. Maybe Carolina will look at making some kind of a change. Maybe Toronto would have a piece or pieces that they'd be looking for in exchange for Pesce if, in fact, that comes through. Because if Pesce's not going to extend in Carolina, or they look at their financial picture and at their roster for next year and how they envision it turning out, if Pesce's not part of that plan, it would make some sense for them to maybe, make a phone call. Them being Toronto, to make a phone call. But coming over to Nashville now. Nashville making a move today. Liam Foodie's been placed on waivers. Andrew Burnett saying it's just a numbers game. They just had one too many players. He likes Foodie's game. He thinks he's a good player. Definitely the way that Andrew Burnett was talking about it, it sounds like they're expecting to lose Foodie on waivers. Keep in mind, Columbus could claim him back. But there will definitely be a team, I would think, that would at least consider bringing in Foodie. I do think he can be effective, but again, it comes down to just numbers for Nashville, and they decided to make the move here. Barrie's going to be a scratch tonight, and talking to the press, he doesn't seem to have wanted this to get out to the press. So again, the leak is kind of an odd one. I don't think it came from Barrie anyways. But he's basically saying he's not denying the whole trade thing. His quote here, thanks to Robbie Stanley, is, well, if we're getting into it, I'm in the stands, so it doesn't feel like a great fit, meaning for himself with the Nashville Predators. And with him being scratched tonight, and I forgot the D on scratched, so not scratchy, but scratched tonight. It didn't sound like he wanted to air this out to the media, but now it's out there, which might speed up the trade process. So I mentioned Toronto in the market for a defenseman. Nashville might be desperate to offload Tyson Barrie. Is it the craziest thing I've suggested? Probably not. But at any rate, we'll see what happens with Barrie, what the Preds end up doing, because clearly he's not fitting in. He played well, I thought, in the last game he played, but again, for Burnett, for Barrie Trotz, for what they want the team to be, at this point, Tyson Barrie is occasionally a healthy scratch, and for Barrie, who again is in a contract year, He doesn't want to be a healthy scratch. That's going to drive down how much money he can make next summer. Wants a chance to play, wants a chance to prove he can still play in the NHL. He's 32 years of age and doesn't want to be seen as, well, he's 32 and look at him this year and his play's dropped off, so guess he's done. You don't want to end up in that position. So I don't think he's going to be a Nashville Predator by Christmas. I'll put it that way. Barrie Trotz to me doesn't seem like the kind of guy to let something like this linger. And again, if he's a healthy scratch and there are teams that are out there looking for defense, there's got to be a fit somewhere. So let me know your thoughts on where Barrie might end up, but it does sound like this is just coming to a head. Patrick Kane makes his debut tonight for the Detroit Red Wings, so I threw on a Wings jersey for this. A lot of excitement, but again, I think you do need to temper expectations a little bit. However, would I be surprised if Kane had, say, 2 points tonight? No. Just the adrenaline rush and just being out on the ice and having a chance to play could help him. And I mean, they're up against San Jose as well, so that's kind of the best place for you to make your debut is against a Sharks team that has been better lately, but still, that's a game that you should be able to win if you're Detroit and if you're truly through the whole rebuild process and everything. And Kane didn't sign here because he thinks that they're still in a rebuild. Kane signs here in part because he wants a chance to win, and Detroit right now looks like a playoff team. So, yeah, him making his debut tonight, we'll see how that works. And whether he moves up, moves down the lineup as the weeks go by and everything. But, yeah, for tonight, makes his debut. That should be a fun watch. Seattle, understanding that they are under the gun. The Seattle Kraken, not good enough. I talked about that in the video yesterday. 8 wins in their first 25 games, isn't it? It's not been enough. 25 games. So for I think it's 24. I think it's 8, 10, and 6. But for Seattle, they know they need to turn it around. It looks like they're going to try to do so from within. So Riker Evans has been called up on the blue line. Also, Burakovsky's nearing a return, so that should help. I mentioned Burakovsky in the Seattle video yesterday. I do think they miss him. They're 5-on-5 scoring, not where it was last year, so getting him in there would be good. And Riker Evans was very good for Coachella Valley in that Calder Cup final I watched last year. I remember saying, Decord's ready, he should be the backup, and Evans is ready and should come up. So, we'll see how Evans does. I kind of have my fingers crossed for the guy. Again, I thought he looked quite good for Coachella Valley, and we'll see how things go. But Seattle does need to turn things around, and there's no time like the present. You don't have time in today's NHL because the schedule does get very compressed. We as fans talk about, I was 13-2, 13-4, 15. But for teams, that means you're playing every other night. And so if you're in a bit of a tailspin, it's difficult to have that reset, have that time to figure out what's going wrong and turn it around. So for Seattle, they really need to turn this around sooner rather than later, because later it's probably already going to be done. And for some, I'm sure you'll look at the Seattle record and at the team and say, they're probably already into that realm where they should be a seller at the deadline. So Ron Francis will have some decisions to make if they don't turn things around, but between now and then, he's probably going to be looking from within for some sort of improvement. So maybe Evans gets the blue line going, and maybe Burakovsky comes in and gives that oomph to their top 6 that they haven't quite had recently. Keeping in mind, of course, Schwartz is out for 6 weeks, so that hurts their attack too. But let me know your thoughts. Can Seattle turn things around? Question 1. Question 2, where does Tyson Barrie go? And question 3, who do the Leafs pick up on the blue line now that they have some cap space with the LTIR that John Klingberg provides them? Let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you've not done so already. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.